Hello, my name's Garrison, and today I'd like to ask you the fundamental question: can the United States military promote peace through the use of war and military intervention? I'd like to start exploring this topic by referencing one of our founders, Benjamin Franklin, who said, "They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Benjamin Franklin warned us of a society that denied its citizens the rights of habeas corpus and due process, and started an argument of whether a society that ensures the destruction of liberty in order to maintain a little bit of safety is better than a society that upholds liberty above all at the expense of an absolute military. So, in order for us to explore this on our own, I'm going to ask you a few questions. What is life without liberty? If liberties are compromised, then what value does the United States military seek to uphold? How effective will the military be in defending us if given the power that they seek? In exploring these relationships, the founders came to the conclusion that a society that ensures the destruction of liberty in order to protect those same liberties from an enemy is defeating the purpose of defending themselves altogether, and leading to a net result of the destruction of liberty. So, in order to prevent this, they included in the Constitution, in the Fifth Amendment, that no person be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Also, to ensure that the military might of an entire nation can't be at the will of a single individual, they stated in Article 1, Section 8, that Congress shall have the power to declare war. However, how the United States addresses military actions now is much different than when this was written. The last war to officially be declared by Congress was World War II. Since then, all other military actions have simply been conflicts. So, let me give you a prominent example that I'm sure we can all relate to, so you can decide whether or not this was a conflict that could be authorized by a single individual, or if it's a full-fledged war that should be authorized by Congress. The Iraq War. The financial cost was $3.7 to $4.4 trillion, according to research done by Brown University. And the cost in human lives was 4,488 U.S. casualties. This should frighten you, because the lives of you, your family, your children, your grandchildren, your parents, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, everyone is at the hands of one individual who can make those decisions. Now, let's transition back to the Constitution's protection of rights and liberties. Rahm Emanuel, the current mayor of Chicago, former White House chief of staff, and former member of the United States Representative, was quoted saying, "Don't ever let a crisis go to waste." This idea was shown just 34 days after the attacks on 9/11 with the passing of the Patriot Act. It was only presented to Congress 1 hour before the vote, which ensured that no one could see to what extent exactly this bill encroached on the liberties of its citizens. It gives the government the ability to collect information through emails, phone calls, text messages, etc., with basically no restrictions and on any medium possible. And they were awarded an $80 billion budget for information gathering. This is one of the largest encroachments on personal liberties that the United States has seen since its inception. But does this idea of responding to a threat by giving up your liberties when the nation feels most vulnerable, such as we did in 9/11, sound familiar? This is exactly what Benjamin Franklin warned us of. We gave up liberties for a feeling of temporary safety, and now we have neither of them. So let me ask you a few more questions. Do you feel that there are less people who dislike the United States of America? Do you feel that we are more secure as a nation after the passing of the Patriot Act? And now, let's take into account that even United States citizens can be held indefinitely if suspected of terrorist-related activities, which goes directly against the rights endowed in the Constitution. This being said, do you think that this will decrease the probability of an attack? Or is it just destroying our inalienable rights as citizens of the United States of America? These things should all frighten you. But the effects of our military aren't solely constitutional and rights-based. There's also substantial financial cost associated with the United States military actions. The United States will spend an estimated $711 billion on defense spending this year. The world will spend an estimated $1.735 trillion this year. These are some huge numbers, and it's really hard to grasp exactly how big these are. So let's break it down a little bit. The United States will spend 41% of the world's military budget this year. 41%. Second place is China, with a meager 8.2% and $143 billion. Yet many people still don't feel that this is enough, and they feel that this gap isn't large enough to sustain our power above China. They feel that, China could be one of our biggest threats in the near future. Do you think so? Let's break it down even farther, though, because those numbers are still just too big to grasp. The United States will spend more on defense than the next 14 countries combined. That includes some of the largest nations: China, Great Britain, France, Russia, etc. 14 countries combined. Do you think that all of this spending is really decreasing our chances of having an attack on our soil? Do you think that we're less vulnerable now because of all this spending? The United States Defense Secretary, Leon Panetta, has urged continually that defense cuts would be disastrous. Do you think that our $600 billion gap between us and China is not large enough to maintain defense? Do you think that cutting military spending a little bit would actually be a disaster, or would not that much change? Do you really think it would lower our ability to protect ourselves? But now let's move on to the effects that our military has on the rest of the world. We have bases in 148 of the 196 countries around the globe, and approximately 700 total overseas bases. This is a major cause of discontent with the United States of America. Think about if we were part of those 148 countries, and we had other countries that had military bases on our soil. How would we feel about this? Would we feel that they're infringing on our sovereignty as a nation? Why shouldn't they feel the same about us? Don't you think that this could be a major source of discontent with the United States of America by the rest of the world? Or are they just willingly okay with us having bases on their soil and standing over their heads, per se, and dictating policy? But wait, President Bush told us that we were hated because we're free, right? People just inherently hate us because we're free. The more probable answer to that is because we're infringing on their sovereignty as a nation. That they're seeing the effects of our military tactics at their home. We don't see these effects here in the United States, but there are many effects that they see on a day-to-day basis in their countries. For example, the United States has more than 7,000 drones available for use. 7,000. And many people still don't feel that this is enough. The 2012 budget for the United States government allocated $5 billion for the production of additional drones. But let's put that into perspective again. There was 4,488 U.S. casualties during the Iraq War, and we have over 7,000 drones. Do you really think we need more? These drones have killed between 2,000 and 3,000 people, but since 2004, only 49 of these have been high-value military targets. The rest have been civilians and low-level combatants. Don't you think that this could be a source of discontent in the United States of America? That these civilians that are being killed could have an emotional connection to the communities they come from? But 80% of these deaths have been under President Obama. This shows that this isn't a one-party affair. This isn't one faction in the United States government promoting these issues, promoting these problems. This is a problem in the status quo of America, and there's very little difference between the two major political factions in the United States of America, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, on this issue. This is a major problem, and shows that it's a bipartisan affair that we're facing. This creates a system called blowback. Blowback is where the military actions that our military takes has a negative impact on the sentiment of the United States government and leads to further actions against the United States government. This is shown by Faisal Shahzad, the failed Times Square bomber of May 2010, who said that when asked how he could justify his actions, even though tons of innocent people would have been killed in New York by this bombing, he said that U.S. drone strikes don't see children. They don't see anybody. They kill women, children, they kill everybody. This shows the effects that the United States military has on other nations around the world, and how this can lead to discontent with America and further attacks. So, are we really promoting security and peace? Does our military involvement foster more potential threats? Let's fix the status quo of American foreign policy. As I said earlier, this is a bipartisan affair. There's just more of the same back and forth squabbling between the two major political factions in the United States of America, and neither have fundamental differences on the issues being faced. These are major problems that the United States government is promoting, and neither side is resolving these issues. There's a major faction in the percentage of the population in the United States of America that is discontent with our military actions, yet both parties have virtually the same opinion. This is an issue. The theme of our TED Talk today is to dream big, then do it. It's really hard to dream bigger than United States foreign policy. It's about as big as it gets. So now let's do something. What are we going to do about it? I'd like for you to be able to leave this room today having a firm understanding that maybe the United States government's military actions aren't all positive, that it's not just all glorified as you see many times. I would like for a national conversation to be started where people can address these issues in a more open-minded situation without preconceived notions and party allegiances. These are real people and real issues being faced around the world, and we shouldn't be bound to allegiances and preconceived notions on how we address them. I would like for you to be able to leave this room and come up with your own opinion of whether the actions that we're taking as a military are beneficial to the world and beneficial to our national security. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to agree with me. I'm just saying that a debate needs to be started, that a discussion needs to be started, and these issues that are clearly happening need to be addressed. So today I'd like for you to be able to leave this auditorium answering the question, can we, the people of the United States of America, achieve peace through the use of war and military intervention? Thank you.